Social media is so bad right now. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, you're seeing reels of people telling you how to take photographs or edit images. And recently I saw some videos that just made me cringe. I want to talk about some of these cringy editing videos that are out there and some traps to avoid and what really matters when photographing our bird and wildlife subjects and also editing them. Let me give you a little bit of a mini rant today right after this. Now, if you're new to the channel, sometimes I do these wildlife quick thoughts where I get something off my chest or talk about current events. Today, I wanted to talk about social media. Now, there's a lot of people making videos either on YouTube or other forms of social media about how bad wildlife photography is in social media in general. And this is true. The algorithms right now are really suppressing people that are just wanting to share photographs. And it's pushing content around creation and short form videos. Now, it's been doing this for years. The thing I saw recently that really just kind of got under my skin is I saw this person explaining like a 1-minute edit on photos. And I must have stopped to watch it. The next day, and I kid you not, I see a different person literally with the exact edit of their own image. And it got me thinking, did one of these people just watch another one? Or was there a third person out there, like somebody that they all watched and just said, let me regurgitate this content and put it out there? And by the way, yes, of course, there's a course involved or how to edit or let me buy this from me. And I thought, man, this is just so horrible. Respectfully, if you've been doing this for a year, you may not be ready to sell courses. And these photographers did not seem like experienced wildlife teachers to me. So after I had seen that, next day I see a different style of edit. What got me with this one though, and it was true of all three of these, is the focus was here's a shortcut edit, make your wildlife photos better, let me teach you how to do it. But the photos were actually, again, respectfully, they were bad. And I thought, is this what we really should be focused on? Is this our community now? Take fast food photographs and apply fast food editing and try to pass them off as genuine, high quality images. Now, I think a lot of people see through this, but unfortunately, I think a lot of people don't. I read the comments on this last one after I got this idea in my head. Maybe I'll make some content around this and I'll do an example for you. I'm going to do an example for you today. I read the comments and they were all like super reinforcing. Like, hey, this is great. This is awesome. I got to try this. And I thought, man, like, this is what we've become. We are literally like just serving slop to the public. And I thought for this video, I thought I'd do something. I thought, you know what I'll do? I'm going to grab my camera, literally, cut the film, come back in 5 minutes. I'm going to take a picture of the first bird I see. And it's probably going to be terrible because it'll be up in a tree and I haven't thought this out at all. It's going to be a yard bird. I'll bring it back in and then I'll apply one of these ridiculous editing techniques to it and show you that it really isn't good. And it doesn't take any skill for me to grab my camera, walk out there in 5 minutes and take a photo and come back in. There's no real skill involved in this. And it's not like we're valuing the skill or the process anymore. We've just devalued all of that. So here's the interesting thing that happened. I cut the video. I went out. I took a picture of the first bird I saw, a robin, that landed on a stick that I had set up. In my yard right now, it's summer, so it's nice and green. And the image looked better than anything I had seen these people post. I mean, right out of camera. And I thought, well, this isn't really good because this doesn't give me a chance to prove my point. So I'm going to pull up it. So then I went back to the archives and I said, let me go back and grab an image from when I first started. One of the first warblers that I saw. So I went back into the archives. I grabbed a picture from 2015. Let me show you kind of what this feels like to me. So I'm going to switch screens. Give me a second here. Sometimes my computer will glitch a little when I switch over, but I'm going to switch over to Photoshop. And this is Camera Raw. So if you're editing in Lightroom, you probably already know the Camera Raw and Lightroom have the same engine. They do the same thing. This is again, if you're a brand new photographer and you've never seen a chestnut-sided warbler and you're excited about this, that's great. This is not to shame new photographers. This is to say that when you've been doing this for over a decade and you look back to the first time you photographed a bird, you realize you've come a long way. So what I want to do is just show you what this looks like. This is, to me, is not a very good image. I have 3 key fundamentals. I actually have a video on Patreon where I talk about this. Patreon, by the way, is my subscription site. So you can check down. There's a description down below. I do teach some of this stuff. And I want to talk about teaching editing and what it should be versus what we're seeing. So I have 3 principles around bird portraiture. One is starts with light, always starts with light. Got to be great light. The light on this is not good. It's direct, it's hard, there's no quality of this light. Number 2 is we should have a good perspective on our subjects created in order to create engagement. So we want, eye level is ideal, but we want engaging photos, and that often happens by shooting at eye level. Number 3 is we want great compositions created through the environment or habitat. And this doesn't have any of those. I got bad light, I got a bad angle, and I don't really have any context or any habitat or anything to put this into frame. But hey, this is a 2026 Instagram or Facebook or whatever social media, TikTok you're on. So here's what we're going to do. One, we're going to overcrop it. So this was shot on a crop sensor to begin with, but it's just Instagram, so it doesn't really matter how much I crop this. I'll crop this down to 2,500 pixels wide, which is less than I probably have ever cropped an image in my life. But we'll go ahead and crop it down there because, again, it doesn't matter. Then I'm going to do some stuff here. This seems to be popular. We're going to lower the exposure quite a bit. We're actually going to take the temperature down. And I know it doesn't look right yet because it actually didn't look right at the beginning, but we'll pretend. Here's the kicker, and here's the real great part. We're just going to take a radial gradient, and we're going to go like this up here, and then we're going to jack it up all the way. Like really, and then we're going to warm it for some reason. We're going to cool it and warm it at the same time. And I know that the red things are bad, so I know that's bad. So I might have to do something to get rid of the red things. Okay, so we'll do this. And pretty much done. I think I nailed it. This is about what we're teaching people. Go out, take a bad photograph, put a giant, overly brightened area, darken the rest, play around with the temperature, and it's still a bad photo. Now, I mean, you might say, well, it looks better than the original. No, it really just looks, over edited. It doesn't look good. However, people respond to this, and they're new photographers. They respond to this because they think it looks better than the original one. Let me show you a chestnut-sided warbler that I took last year. Now let's go back to the 3 guidelines that I mentioned earlier. So how is the light in this one? Well, I would call this very pleasing. So it's in the forest, but it's got a nice even glow in this photo. So I would actually call this light pretty ideal for songbirds. You may disagree. You may think there's other light that's better. This may not have the quality of golden hour or blue hour light, but I would say for songbirds, this is actually pretty ideal light. How about just some very selective dodging and some very selective burning and some very selective saturation? I'll show you the before and after. The out of camera versus the edit. To me, this is much more true to what editing should be. It's not to say that editing isn't important, by the way. I actually believe that every photo that is printed or posted should be edited. I think it should be cropped a little bit for composition, especially for somebody with moving subjects that can't always nail composition in the field, but maybe you get close. So we're going to crop it just a little bit for composition. I think there should be some adjustments to light, especially because we deal with raw files. So those raw files are always going to come out flat. They always need something. So every photo should be edited, but it should start with something. To me, it's the cake and the icing. The shot you take in the field, that's the cake, and that's 80% of it, maybe 90. The editing should be that icing, that just a finishing touch. Just polish it off and make it good to great, or maybe great to exceptional. Just give it a finishing touch. My rule has always been about 80-20. Try to get it 80% right in the field and use that 20% just to clean it up a little bit. And again, I edit all my photos and I'll do some little branch removals and I'll do some lighting changes. That's not the point. The point is our field craft has to matter. Like, we have got to tell people that we can get better images in the camera before we start telling them how to edit. If they're just editing bad photos, it's not really teaching photography. So this is my thought of the day. Let me know down in the comments. Have you seen these trends exist? By the way, that trend with the radial gradient, that's been around for forever, but it seems to be recycled again. There are a few other like trendy edit things happening out there. But the problem I'm having with this isn't that people are teaching editing in a minute. It's that they're starting with these terrible cakes and trying to heap tons of icing on top to make them taste better. And I'm not sure that's the right formula for success. You let me know what you think of this down in the comments. How much editing is right or appropriate? Is that 80-20 guideline that I'm using, is that about right for you? What is your ratio? What ideal ratio? You might say it's 100% zero, meaning you got to get everything perfect in camera. Now that I think is a little bit idealistic. I'm not sure how true that really is, especially again, when you're shooting raw file formats, which are designed to be edited. They're going to come out of the camera flat. I always tell people, look with your eye and study with your eye what you see, and then pull up the raw file on your computer. Don't look at the back of the camera. The back of the camera is actually already showing you an edited JPEG. It's adding saturation and contrast and white balance and all that stuff to it. Look at the raw file. Look at that. Is that what you really saw with your eye? It's not going to look the same. So yeah, my personal belief is everything should be at least 95-5, probably more like 90-10, even if you're conservative. But what's the ratio for you? And I don't want to get into a whole thing about social media, but is it just toxic right now? I mean, it has gotten so bad. Maybe I'll do a video on alternate forms of social media because there are some other avenues out there to express your work. We could talk about that in another video, but that's my video for you today. If you're not subscribed, down below, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. That'll push the content out to like-minded individuals. The bell just gives you a little notification when I release a new video. And as always, I hope we can continue to find inspiration in wildlife together.